Welcome, everyone. It's Yvonne here with Secure Yourself Consulting, where our primary mission is to consult, educate, and provide individuals tools to increase financial literacy to not only save money but build wealth. We are back again with our wealth and wellness series where we are talking about it's no longer a taboo and it's okay to seek professional help. On this episode, I have Qiana Howell, who is the founder and owner of Empowered to Heal, which provides therapy services. Be sure to follow them on Instagram at Empowered to Heal _ LLC and Facebook. You can find them at Empowered to Heal. So I'll pass it off to you, Qiana, to go ahead and tell us
Yes.
a little bit more about Empowered to Heal and any additional information that I was not able to put in the intro.
Okay, so I am Qiana Howell. I am the founder and CEO of Empowered to Heal. Under Empowered to Heal, I do provide therapy and life coaching services, but I also provide the service of also motivational speaking. I am an author of one published book, and I am working on two other books,
Okay.
hopefully with the dates of early next year. That is something that is already in process right now. So hopefully I'll be making some announcements soon. And so it is a mental health based company to help promote mental health awareness and education, but then to also work with clients to help them in heal.
Yes.
So I don't want
That's where the
to.
Empowered to Heal comes into place.
Yes.
So I wanted to go a bit deeper into the whole Empowered to Heal piece and how um, that's not only your passion, but how you've been able to pursue that into pretty much your business, and what that looks like. So just talking about the transformation on the importance of what you thought in regards to, social work and the mental health aspect, and then going along into launching your own business.
So I never wanted to be a social worker, but I do have experience as a case manager because in my early part of my career, I had a career change. I actually transitioned from HR recruiting into mental health. So there were some aspects of certain job opportunities where I still got to do case management.
Hmm.
In that regard, a lot of times we are still able to do a mix of case management and counseling as well. And so that was just part of helping me build up my experience in the field. So it was still good knowledge to gain and good experience, just to become more versed in the not just in the field, but the different clientele,
Hmm.
the different graphics or populations that I may prefer working with, because I worked anywhere between children all the way up to senior citizens. So I was able to even identify the demographic, my targeted demographics, and even my specialty areas in those different experiences. Empowered to Heal, I had already been out as an author and a speaker probably since like 2013.
Okay.
So my primary focus at the time was domestic abuse. I had did some work even as a professional in that regard, but then also pretty much writing off of my own personal experience as a survivor.
Hmm.
And so I was already doing some things there. Empowered to Heal initially was just like a tagline for me back
Okay.
then. And then about 2018, when I was like ready to really start to venture out into do my own thing, I realized, wait a minute, instead of it being a tagline, this could be my business name.
Yes.
By then, I was more in tune with my specialty areas. At that point, it was more about focusing how to help people heal. At that point, I was getting experience in the mental health regards, as far as working at a mental health hospital in addiction
Mhm.
recovery, and even working with a lot of clients who suffered severe trauma. So one of the things that I saw commonly for just all those different specialty areas was that everybody needs time to heal from
Yeah.
those different experiences that they endure. And
Hmm.
so for me, it just all made sense. Like, okay, this name was with me for all these years, but I really didn't understand the true meaning of it until, again, as I had the time to work in different aspects, work with different populations, to then see why it was necessary for people to heal. And then I know that that's something that I'm gifted with, is to help people heal. So it
Mhm.
all just kind of came
Came
together,
together.
journey.
That's sweet. And how all the different, it was almost like stepping stones. So every experience you had actually led up to where exactly you needed to be
Yes.
when you kicked off Empowered to Heal. One thing that I did kind of want to talk a little bit more about, since we're talking about is no longer a taboo, and it's okay to seek professional help, is when an individual is looking for a therapist. So
Yes.
I know yourself, you are a master level therapist, and that
Mhm.
there's different distinctions between therapists. So I wanted to see if you can give us a little bit more insight in that area, as well as the niches. So if I or someone was looking to seek a therapist, should I seek someone that's more general, or should I seek someone that's more specific to a situation that I'm going through?
I definitely always tell people, try to start with your situation, because all therapists, most of us at some point do try to choose a specialty area. Now, a lot of us will have more than one specialty area. Like some people, do. Oh, I'll work with people who suffer from depression, anxiety, ADHD, and then that's it. And then for some people, they primarily focus on trauma,
Okay.
do trauma-based therapy. And again, you can get certain certifications in those areas. So for like trauma therapy, you can also become an EMDR specialist, um, to help people. It's an actual process that you go through. It's almost like hypnosis. Uh,
Okay.
that so you're like you get certified and trained on how to take someone through a traumatic experience more physically, but
Okay.
you're equipped to know how to get them out safely, because it can, cause. So like for me, even though trauma is one of my specialty areas, I'm not an EMDR person, so I wouldn't take a person through that particular experience. Some people prefer to work with children over adults. Some prefer to work with women over men. So you do, the first step is to, for some people, they like to go to the insurance company
Yes.
first to say, hey, this is what I need. I need someone for depression or anxiety or grief counseling, because there's also people who just specialize in grief counseling. And that can be someone that's either a professional. We have, Christian counselors, uh,
Mhm.
so it's people that usually have, or grief groups. So it's more of, you identifying what your needs are. 'Cause for some people, they prefer group therapy over individual therapy.
Okay.
So it's being able to know what your needs are, and then being able to communicate to the different referral sources what it is they need, and they can kind of help you, do a search. On my website, I do specify the areas that I do specialize in, and then I also provide which services that I will see. So I will see couples, I will see families. Uh,
Mhm.
it's not my preference choice, but what happens is, for me, particularly with the couples and families, a lot of times my client base eventually will need to segue into the couples therapy. So like for me, my targeted demographic is are men.
Okay.
And so a lot of times for the male population, if they are in relationships or marriages at some point, working with them individually, if they are in a relationship, I do eventually want to work with their significant other, because
Other.
it's
Yeah.
part of their process and their journey.
Okay.
Um, with that, someone, if they know they have severe mental health issues, whether they are aware or they have an extensive history that could be dating back from childhood, you need to see like a psychiatrist,
Yeah.
because of, if you need medications, a psychiatrist is the only professional that can prescribe medications, and
Mhm.
some nurse practitioners, mental health nurse practitioners. I know some people get mental health medications primarily for depression, anxiety from their primary care provider, but I always recommend people go see a psychiatrist because they are already equipped with the knowledge on how to determine which is the best medication for your particular need. Psychologists more focus on the testing so that they can kind of test and identify what conditions you may be struggling with mentally. And then they make the recommendation. They can also make recommendations on what type of therapist or psychiatrist you may need to see as a follow-up for further treatment. So yeah, for therapists, we each state is different. Employee assistance program is where some employers do offer free. They'll pay, like you said, they'll pay for you to do counseling. Normally, it's only 3 to 6 sessions. They'll cover for free, where it won't even be charged to your insurance. But you can look into that as an option first. And then if you want to go beyond that number of sessions, then that would be something you would coordinate with your providers. Now, some people don't like that I only charge out of pocket, but I'm not the only therapist. that there are therapists that are PhD level that do not take insurance. And a lot of that is if they chosen not to sign on with insurance boards, because when I, just working with different colleagues, it just depends on the scope and flow of their business vision. If they feel like they want to go through the process of getting on the insurance boards, because that's just a whole nother journey. And for some of them, they identify that as a headache. To go through. And so, like I tell people, the same way you would, be willing to pay a quote life coach that may not even be certified to be a life coach, you'll pay them cash, and usually hundreds of dollars per session. And my rates are really, really reasonable, extremely. So I try to do that on purpose, but I try to help people understand that, even what your insurance company is going to charge for you to see me is an astronomical number most of the time. And then even then, you're not guaranteed they're going to pay for it. The insurance company still has a right to reject and decide not to cover you and leave you with the bill. So, try to keep people that in mind when they, are contemplating paying out of pocket. Because I'm like, at least here, once it's done, it's done. You don't about the possible getting a letter in the mail, because I have seen it in both treatment facilities, hospitals, private practices. Like I've had to deal with working with clients who now got stuck with this high bill for treatment because their insurance decided they didn't want to pay. So, yes, I know insurance is the safety zone, and I know that, yes, I do refer people to use their insurance for referrals because it can be a good referral source. To know what's in your area, to provide the services for the needs that you have. But don't think that, that's the golden ticket, because sometimes you have to kind of weigh out your options as well based on needs.
I did want to pivot to is more or less how you have seen some of either your therapy sessions or some of the experience that you have had prior to, in regards on how that's helping our African American community, because we're both from a metropolitan city. We're both from Detroit, where sometimes mental health is becoming a thing that people are openly talking about, and it's starting to become no longer a taboo within our African American communities. But if you could just highlight or shed some light on some of the wins, or just your overall experience on how therapy has been helping our African American communities.
We still have a long way to go with that, but it is good that, like you said, it is starting to become more of a popular topic of discussion. And I thank social media for that. Social media has definitely been pivotal in starting a conversation, bringing awareness, because I definitely follow other, other individuals, whether they're mental health providers or actual just advocates for mental health, that are, doing posts and educating our African American community about mental health, and letting you know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to seek help and intervention. Like you said, as growing up in the you know, inner city of Detroit, I mean, I think just in general, not even just from where we're from, but in general in the African American community, there's always been a stigma. And I think, you know, first and foremost, the church was at the core of that stigma. You
Yeah.
know, always believe whatever is wrong, you just need to pray about it and be okay. And so the
Pray and
reality is,
fast.
yeah, just pray and just, or, you know, get before the altar, have a tearing moment, it should be good. And so it's I've always been that kid that always, like, I always loved God. I've always loved church. I always believed in you know, the Holy Spirit and everything like that. But I still always felt like there was still more to life than just the church and how we really address certain things. And so for me, I've always been interested in the field of psychology and the study
Mhm.
of mind. And so I know for me, just my personal interest from a young age, just reading on these are the things that you should be doing to help maintain good mental health as a standard practice. And so it's tearing down those cultural barriers that have been in place for so many generations, that counseling, seeking counseling outside your church is okay.
Yeah.
I think that is good that we're finally even getting some pastors. We're still working on it, but some pastors who are realizing that they even have to go to school to get some type of counseling education, because they're in a place where they're always counseling, but they're really not educated in that area. So they're sometimes giving out sometimes wrong and because you do have people that really do have a chemical imbalance mentally and they need medication. And so when you talk about people that have conditions like bipolar, schizophrenia, you know, you have to be willing to be realistic that everything can't be prayed away and everything can't just be talked away.
Mhm.
um a little more to help them with their stability. Yes, they need their standard coping skills and strategies to put in place from day to day, but they still need to be able to take that medication
Yeah.
to help address the chemical imbalance. So understanding that there is it's also a medical necessity and a medical need,
Mhm.
because we look back and reflect on certain people like schizophrenia. Actually, the symptoms don't show or present until someone's like 19.
Yep.
So sometimes you'll see someone be normal most of their childhood and their teen years, and then something just snaps. And
Mhm.
what happened to them? You know, and it's quick for us to identify, oh, they must have got some bad drugs. And they could have indulged in it just to try to self medicate because they didn't know what was going on. But the
Mhm.
reality is, they're dealing with the mental illness. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people who struggle with mental illness also fall into the cycle of addiction because they're dealing with people who are not encouraging them to seek professional intervention. And so they go to drugs and alcohol to try to medicate. And
Yeah.
so then that's where the addiction epidemic has steadily risen in our society. And I think with those different epidemics that have been rising, even with PTSD among our veterans, I think all of those things have really triggered the discussions and talks about, hey, we need to help people.
Yeah.
And then now 2020 it's been so off the hook that people were like, okay, now people who have always battled with depression and anxiety, but been able to try to live through this life of facade like they're okay, the
Mhm.
pandemic triggered some real emotions. And
Yeah.
so some people really felt and fell into depressive stupors, have started having more anxiety and panic attacks in this season, and realizing I need help.
Help. Yeah.
Like, 'cause I'm about to lose it here, being quarantined in my house, and I can't even be near my family or friends like I'm used to, or even go into the church. So now what do I do? And
Yeah.
so thankfully, you know, the medical health, the mental health field, we were already, you know, pretty much in the space of launching the telehealth services.
Okay.
A lot of people were really trying to adopt that alternative way of doing counseling. So
Mhm.
this was actually the perfect year to really like dive into that and still offer that service to people so that we can still say, hey, pandemic, quarantine or not, we can still be accessible to help.
Yes.
So it's interesting. But yeah, it's just taking, we just have to keep having those conversations because it's still a lot of stigmas. A lot of people are still insecure
Mm-hmm.
and hesitant to seek counseling. They still have a lot of stereotypes or misconceptions about therapy. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think therapists are there to tell you what to do. And I'm like, no, we're supposed to just guide you in the journey of your own self-discovery and uncovering the things that you need to process and work through. But we're not there just give you advice and tell you what to do. So like even with me, and a lot of times they don't want to do it because they think it's just going to be somebody just telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing. And it's not like that at all. And honestly, when I was in school, a lot of people, my classmates went in with the same thought process and we got shut down real quick. Like, no, that
That's not how this.
you're
That's
not
not
there
how
to
this operates.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
not there to interrogate anybody. You're not there to tell them what they should and shouldn't be doing. You're not there to judge or convict. Like you literally have to become a really good listener and you have to become a good reflective listener because you have to be able to let the person know that you're paying attention and you actually understand and comprehend what they're expressing to you
Yeah.
in order to keep them moving forward. So it is a lot of misconceptions that people have about the field. So I always tell people, we have to get to the space where you have to be willing to ask questions, do research. It's discussions like this that I'm loving that have been happening because it's now bringing more awareness and making people really think like, oh, I guess it's not so bad. So
Yeah. And I would say like, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm saying it's really good. So yeah.
I would just say, like, even from my own personal experience, like, I had some of those same thoughts when I was like, man, do I really want to seek a therapist? But then is once you get there, one thing that I learned was, and this is sometimes why I think you have to have a good organic relationship with your therapist to begin with, because
Mhm.
you got, well, from my experiences, like my therapist probes the right questions.
Okay.
And that's the thing that, I always enjoyed about therapy, because
Mhm.
it's like, well, why, just the different ways that you're able to, as you said, not only be an active listener, but to be a reflective listener, to say like, hey, well, why do you think that happened? Or, just get more into like the root cause of certain issues
Right.
and situations. And then there was one other gem that you had dropped where it talked about when you were younger, just knowing these certain ways that an individual can pretty much maintain their own mental health. And I want you to talk about that a little bit more, because I know for me, journaling helps. Like
Mhm.
putting my thoughts on paper helps. Whether I'm frustrated, I write everything down on a piece of paper and I throw it away, or just, being able to capitalize my mind, because our minds run a mile a minute. So
Right.
I think well, for me as an individual, like journaling really helps, like just putting all my thoughts on a piece of paper and literally be able to see what's going on in my head and then
Mhm.
work throughout my thoughts. But I kind of
Right.
want to see if you could, give any more tips or suggestions for individuals to, what are some key ways that an individual can make sure that they're maintaining a mental health balance?
I am also an avid journaler. Like doing it pretty much all my life. Um, I'll admit when I was younger, I didn't really look at it as a good mental health tool. I just like journaling and expressing myself. I did again a lot of things that kind of came naturally to me, just kind of made sense as to it kind of flowing into my giftings
Yeah.
and
Your
my
gifts, your talents, your
yeah,
passions,
it
all
just
of that.
ended up making sense a little bit. But I am an average journaler. So I tell a lot of my clients, that's one of the tools I usually encourage them to do. Most of them resist, especially the males. But when they do it, they're like, Oh, wow. Like I didn't realize how good it would make me feel. Like you said, just to write the thoughts and emotions from the day, and how offloading that onto paper literally lifts it off of you physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
So, and it gives you an opportunity to then process what you're writing, and whether you do it in that moment or you go back and read it and reflect. But it is a great, great coping skill.
Mhm.
So I definitely encourage a lot of my clients. In depending, I do tailor, everything per client. So sometimes in a journaling, I may give them specific things that I want them to journal about,
Mhm.
just to kind of with less. This is part of our treatment process. But yeah, that's one of the main go tos I have.
Okay.
I do encourage meditation. It took me years to really get into meditation because
I
my
don't think
I
I'm
am
there yet.
yeah, my thoughts like go like I'm with you, it goes 100 miles a minute. So I thought I just could never be capable of meditation. And I'll never forget, in Maryland, I met a young lady who that was a specialty of hers, where she did spiritual meditation.
Mm,
And she taught me how to meditate.
okay.
Um, and then I had took a healing class here, with a life coach, and she kind of gave some more tips. And so for me, it just I have been steadily working on myself on strengthening that skill. But I always tell my clients, I mean, don't worry about a time. Don't try to do at least 5 minutes a day.
Mhm.
Get them to start off small. And then if you can build up to, increase into 10, 15, up to 30 minutes a day. And then some people can do a full hour of just meditation, complete silence. Um, there are meditation music for some people. They need to still have that meditation music in the background to help settle their thoughts in their energy in the moment. I know there's a debate just even spiritually, but like I tell people, it says even in the word that you meditate on the word day and
Day and night, day and night.
because you got some Christians that be like, oh, meditation is the spirits and witchcraft and stuff, but really no, you are supposed to have time where you're just sitting there quiet in the moment, with your thoughts and with your higher power. So, and that's in the Bible. So, I tell people, when it comes to even that, I can pretty much, address address
That
that.
as well, yeah.
Um, Mindfulness, it's a little more challenging,
Mhm.
and it's something that is best when your provider, like your therapist or your counselor, can kind of teach you how to do mindfulness, do some
Mhm.
mindfulness exercises with you first to teach you and show you how to do it, because it's similar to meditation, but it's requiring you to learn how to sit in the moment of a feeling or a current experience, and
Mhm.
that can be a little challenging too. So just getting the someone that can teach you how to do mindfulness and kind of practice with you first, and then you'll be able to do it on your own. And then of course I'm very big on self-care.
Yeah.
So let's figure out some self-care activities. I just recently did a post. What are some stress reducer activities? Reading, going walking, exercising, taking a weekend getaway, a
All of
spa day.
those for me.
Yes, yes, a spa day, and men too, because you know what? The men, once they start getting to learn, the pedicures and manicures, they actually like it.
Yeah.
So just telling men, hey, look, it's okay. Take the stigmas off the whole. This is a gender-based activity.
Yes. When it comes
Try
to
it.
self-care, that's for everybody. Everybody needs to be practicing some form of self-care.
People don't realize, even just going to the barbershop or the salon and you giving yourself that time to just digress in that moment while someone else tends to you.
Mhm.
Sometimes when I don't even want to be on the phone at that time, I just want to enjoy the moment of somebody like just pampering me,
Yeah.
you know. So, it's just being able to do those things. I tell people, make sure self-care activities is part of your daily regimen if
Mhm.
possible. um, and I tell people it could be simple things like I do read. I used to be an avid reader when I was a kid, and then I
Mhm.
got to slack off when I was getting my degrees because I was like, I don't want to read nothing if
We don't
I'm not.
have time for that.
So I got back into my reading, and now I feel like I'm overloaded right now. I got so many. I'm reading multiple books at one time, but I try to like in my day with reading for at least 15 to 30 minutes minimum before I go to bed, and I try to make sure it's some positive content or something that will help settle my mind. Because I realized even the other day, Saturday, I kind of like I had most of my day. I was out until like 3, but I was really tired. So I was like, okay, the day is a lazy day. And so I was like, I'm gonna sleep the rest of the evening. But I watched a movie with my daughter. Then I chose to watch another movie. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed early. But I was watching all this TV, which I'm not accustomed to because I don't watch TV like I used to anymore.
Mhm.
And sleep. Was like, oh, I watched all this TV and I didn't even do my normal shutdown routine. And I thought I was just gonna go right to bed. And all that stuff that I watched on the TV was in me.
Was
That
just replaying. Yep. Kept
yeah,
you
so it's
going.
like I couldn't go, it had me like pumped up, so I couldn't go to sleep. So I was like, okay, I need to like read something or I can't remember if I read something or listened to some type of music, but just something to kind of like help settle me down. And
Mhm.
so I tell a lot of times that a lot of people complain about not sleeping well, um, having insomnia, but a lot of times it's because we're carrying so much in us mentally and emotionally that we're not dealing with. We're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and stressed out about that we don't want to admit to, and then we're not doing anything to digress from it.
Yep.
And so it's being able to implement self-care activities on a day-to-day basis. The fancy stuff like traveling, pedicures, no, you can't do that every day. That could be, your weekend stuff or your off day things, but there's still something you can do. For some people, take a nice hot bath before you
Yeah.
go, whatever it is, but do something for yourself every day to just offload and digress. And then I give people, lists of coping skills, all kind of then it just depending on the person. Sometimes I just tailor make it, for them based on their personalities. I do try to ask sometimes, what are some things that you used to do that you
Mhm.
used to love to make you smile and feel good that you stemmed away, turned away from, or what are some things you've always wanted to do and never felt like you had the time to do? This is now the time to make time to do that. So
Yeah.
I do promote self-care heavily. I am a big journaler. I believe big. I think journaling really helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I tell my clients, you have different types of journals. Like I have a dream journal. I have my journal, for my feelings. I have a gratitude journal. I have a business journal, so you can even do more than one journal. So I tell people, this is for you. It's
Mhm.
not getting. So, like a lot of people are self conscious about writing. They're like, I'm not a good writer, or I feel like, what if my thoughts are inappropriate? I was like, but they're yours and
Yeah.
they belong to you and they're not for anyone else to see.
Mhm.
So, be as inappropriate as you need to be, or misspell a word, or if you write,
You
half
know
a
what
sentence.
you mean when you write it down.
Yeah, I was like, don't worry about that. Just,
Yeah.
just what you feel, what you need to offload in that moment. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
those were some good tips. In regards to like different ways that individuals can also practice that. Because to me, that's part of mindfulness is to,
Mhm.
be actively practicing different ways to ensure that you are balanced with your mental health. So I really appreciate, kind of like giving those different examples on different options or tools that people can do for themselves to practice those type of things. Thank you,
Mhm.
Qiana, for sitting down and having this talk on it's no longer a taboo. It's important to seek professional help and focusing
Right.
more on that mental health space. Again,
Mhm.
she is the founder and business owner of Empowered to Heal, where you can find them on Instagram at empowered to heal underscore LLC, and then on Facebook at empowered to heal. Again, everyone, thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video, comment, and to subscribe to the page. And don't forget to follow Secure Yourself Consulting at Secure Yourself Co. And we'll be back at it again next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.